Speaking test instructions. The speaking test is 20 minutes. There are 8 tasks in the speaking test. Please try your best to answer all the questions.
Start speaking now. Time is up. 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 Start speaking now. Time is up.
Hey Mark, I heard you're mulling over whether to commit to that year-long recreation center membership or just stick to paying the drop-in fees. Honestly, it's a classic dilemma, but given your situation, I'd strongly advise you to start with the drop-in fees for the first month or two before signing any long-term contracts. To start with, your schedule as an application developer can be incredibly unpredictable, and the last thing you want is to lock yourself into a substantial monthly financial obligation that ends up gathering dust by opting for the pay-per-visit model initially. You can realistically assess how many times a week you actually manage to make it out there. On top of that, look at it from a psychological standpoint. Sometimes, the pressure of a year-long commitment feels like a chore, whereas dropping in feels more autonomous. Now, I know the upfront cost of drop-in fees seems steeper on a per-visit basis. But if you only go once a week, it actually works out to be far more budget-friendly than the flat-rate membership. However, if after 6 weeks you find yourself consistently hitting the gym 3 or 4 times a week, that's your green light. At that juncture, transitioning to the annual pass makes total sense because you'll know you're genuinely getting your money's worth. Why don't we head down there together this Thursday evening for a casual workout and check out the facilities? Let me know what you think. Man, I'll never forget a time last summer when my family and I went for a weekend camping and hiking trip up in the provincial park. The forecast had predicted clear skies, so we left our heavy rain gear at home, expecting a beautiful, sunny getaway. However, halfway through an intensive 8-kilometer mountain trail, the sky rapidly turned an ominous shade of charcoal, and a sudden, violent torrential downpour caught us completely off guard. The temperature plummeted instantaneously, and within minutes, the trail began transforming into a muddy stream. Because we were exposed on a ridgeline, we had to act fast to avoid hypothermia. I immediately instructed everyone to seek shelter beneath a dense canopy of thick evergreen trees to block the brunt of the wind, and we used a small emergency tarp I fortunately had stuffed in my daypack to cover our gear. We had to wait out the storm for 2 grueling hours, shivering and huddled closely together for warmth. Initially, I felt a wave of absolute panic and frustration because I hadn't prepared for a sudden weather shift. However, as we worked cohesively to stay safe and dry, a sense of calm determination took over. When the rain finally subsided into a light drizzle, we carefully navigated our way back down. It was an incredibly exhausting and humbling experience that taught me to respect nature's unpredictability and always pack extra layers. This is a bustling, vibrant indoor local farmers market filled with a diverse crowd of people. In the immediate foreground on the left-hand side, an elderly female vendor with her gray hair neatly tied up is smiling warmly as she hands over a brown paper bag packed with fresh red apples to a young male customer wearing a backpack. Right next to him, a small toddler in a striped shirt is curiously reaching his hand up toward a colorful display of pastries arrayed on the wooden countertop. Moving into the middle ground, we can observe a group of patrons gathered together around an artisanal cheese stall, seemingly sampling the products. On the right side of the frame, a street musician holding a vintage acoustic guitar is actively performing, with his open guitar case placed on the ground before him, showcasing a few tossed coins. In the background, a massive chalkboard sign hanging from the ceiling displays the list of organic items and prices. Under rustic, industrial pendant lighting, behind the stalls, expansive glass windows run along the back wall, through which a severe rainstorm is visible outside. Interestingly, there are 2 distinct anomalies. In the very center of the market, a man is wearing a heavy, thick winter parka and a wool hat, which stands out completely since everyone else is dressed in light clothing. Lastly, on the far right, a small dog wearing a bright yellow raincoat is sitting remarkably patiently by a flower stand. Looking closely at the current scene at the indoor market, I can predict several things that will likely unfold in the next few moments. First of all, the young man in the foreground will take the bag of apples from the elderly vendor, thank her, and complete his transaction using cash or a card. Simultaneously, the parent of the toddler in the striped shirt will notice the child reaching for the pastries and will either pull the child's hand back safely or decide to purchase one of those delicious treats for them. In the middle ground, the vendor at the cheese stall will likely finish serving the current group of customers, who will move on to browse other sections of the market. Regarding the street musician, as soon as he finishes playing his current song, the people nearby will applaud, and a few individuals might step forward to drop some tips into his open guitar case. Furthermore, because the rain outside appears to be intensifying into a severe downpour, we can expect a sudden influx of pedestrians rushing into the indoor pavilion to seek shelter, making the market even more congested. Finally, the man dressed in the winter parka will probably begin to overheat in the warm indoor climate and will take off his heavy coat and wool hat, revealing more appropriate spring attire underneath, while the patient dog in the raincoat will eventually leave with its owner once they finish buying flowers. Hi Sarah, thanks for sharing your thoughts on the Skyline Lounge. I agree the panoramic views of the city would be absolutely spectacular. However, I strongly believe that the Riverside Bistro is a significantly better fit for our annual volunteer appreciation dinner. First and foremost, we must prioritize our budget constraints. The Skyline Lounge charges a whopping $65 per person solely for finger foods, whereas the Riverside Bistro offers a comprehensive, 3-course set menu for just $35 per person. Our volunteers are going to be incredibly hungry, and a proper sit-down meal shows a much higher level of gratitude than just light appetizers. Furthermore, accessibility is a crucial factor for our elderly volunteers. The bistro is situated right in the downtown core, literally steps away from the central transit terminal, making it effortless for everyone to attend. In contrast, the Skyline Lounge is up a penthouse floor, which requires navigating complex security elevators. Most importantly, the bistro provides a fully private dining hall equipped with an integrated audiovisual system. This means we can deliver our appreciation speeches and present awards without any distracting background noise, which would be impossible in a bustling, open-concept cocktail lounge. Plus, the bistro seamlessly includes customized vegetarian and vegan options to accommodate everyone's dietary needs perfectly. Given these points, let's go ahead with the Riverside Bistro to ensure a comfortable and inclusive evening for our volunteers. Hi Sarah, thank you for suggesting the Skyline Lounge. The penthouse view sounds incredibly glamorous. However, looking at the primary goals of our volunteer appreciation dinner, I am convinced that the Greenwood Gardens Pavilion is the superior option. To start with, we need to think about the overall atmosphere and purpose of the event. The Skyline Lounge enforces a mandatory formal dress code and has restricted lounge seating, which can feel quite stuffy and exclusive. On the other hand, Greenwood Gardens offers a relaxed, spacious covered outdoor patio with an expansive lawn. This setup is absolutely perfect because it allows us to host interactive team-building games and icebreakers, fostering a true sense of community and camaraderie among our volunteers. Financially, it's a no-brainer. Greenwood Gardens costs only $20 per person plus a flat venue fee. which saves us a massive amount of money compared to the steep $65 per person cost at the lounge. With the money we save, we can afford to buy much nicer thank you gifts and raffle prizes for the volunteers. While I know the suburban park location requires coordinating carpools or driving, our volunteers are highly collaborative and will easily organize rides together. Ultimately, a buffet-style dinner in a beautiful, natural park setting is far more aligned with our organization's grounded values than an upscale cocktail lounge. Let's choose Greenwood Gardens to give them a fun, unforgettable experience. Hi everyone. Thank you all so much for coming out to the park early this Saturday morning for our community cleanup day. I am so incredibly proud of the massive turnout we have today. Before we distribute the gloves and garbage bags, I need to share an unexpected situation with you all. Just a few minutes ago, my immediate neighbor, David, came to me in an absolute panic. His moving truck arrived 2 days ahead of schedule, and unfortunately, his hired helpers canceled at the last second, leaving him completely stranded with heavy furniture that he physically cannot lift alone. As a community, we value helping one another, so I feel a strong neighborly obligation to step away briefly to assist him with his move. I have spoken with our co-organizer, Melissa, who has meticulously reviewed the logistics and has graciously agreed to take over the leadership role for the morning session. She will guide you through your assigned zones and safety protocols. I am genuinely sorry for stepping away at the launch, but I promise to work twice as hard to load David's truck so I can join you all out there on the streets within the hour. Thank you so much for your understanding and cooperation. And let's make our neighborhood beautiful today. Hey David, take a deep breath. I completely understand why you're stressed, and it is incredibly unfortunate that your moving company bailed on you at the absolute worst time. However, I'm in a really difficult position right now. As you know, I am the principal organizer for the neighborhood cleanup day, and all the volunteers have already assembled over at the park waiting for me to kick things off, distribute equipment, and assign specific cleanup zones. Because I am leading this event, it is absolutely impossible for me to abandon them and spend the next few hours helping you load your truck. That being said, I don't want to leave you completely stranded. Here is what we can do. I have to go lead the orientation for the next 15 minutes. But once everyone is deployed to their stations, I will have a 30-minute window of downtime. I can run back over here and help you lift your heaviest items, like your sofa and mattress, into the back of the truck. Furthermore, I will post an urgent message on our community Facebook group right now to see if any local residents who aren't at the cleanup can come over to give you a hand. Hang tight, get the small boxes ready, and I'll be back to help you with the heavy lifting in just a bit. The debate surrounding whether municipal governments should eliminate fares and provide entirely free public transit systems is highly relevant in modern urban planning. In my opinion, making public transit completely free of charge and funding it through municipal property taxes is an exceptionally positive step forward for contemporary communities. To begin with, the environmental benefits of such a policy are paramount. By removing the financial barrier of fares, cities create a massive incentive for daily commuters to transition away from personal vehicles and utilize buses and trains instead. Consequently, this shift drastically reduces traffic congestion on major roadways and significantly lowers greenhouse gas emissions, directly contributing to cleaner air quality and a smaller carbon footprint for the city. Furthermore, free public transit serves as a powerful tool for social and economic equity. For low-income families, students, and seniors, the cost of monthly transit passes represents a substantial portion of their disposable income. Eliminating fares ensures that all residents, regardless of their financial standing, have unfettered access to employment opportunities, educational institutions, healthcare facilities, and recreational spaces. This mobility fosters a more inclusive society and stimulates local economies by increasing foot traffic to community businesses. Admittedly, critics argue that funding transit through property taxes places an unfair financial burden on homeowners and could potentially lead to a reduction in service quality due to budget strains. However, this concern can be effectively mitigated through strategic financial planning. The immense savings realized from dismantling fare collection infrastructure, such as ticket vending machines, turnstiles, and enforcement personnel, can be directly reinvested into expanding transit routes and increasing vehicle frequency. In conclusion, while the transition requires a structural overhaul of municipal funding, the long-term rewards of increased transit ridership are undeniable. Free public transit ultimately creates cleaner, more equitable, and highly sustainable cities, and it is a progressive policy that all forward-thinking municipalities should actively embrace. Hey honey, I'm waiting for you at the Central Plaza downtown. But it is incredibly crowded today. So let me describe exactly where I am sitting so you can find me easily. I am currently sitting on a completely bizarre public bench that looks like a piece of modern art. The entire bench is meticulously sculpted to look exactly like a massive, open hardcover book resting completely flat on the pavement. The pages of the book are gently curved upwards, which creatively forms the seating area, and the backrest the pages are painted a rustic cream color. And they even have realistic faux printed text running across them, mimicking a real novel. Crucially, spilling out directly from the center binding crease of the book are several huge, three-dimensional letters made of polished metal. These letters are scattered randomly on the concrete floor all around the base of the bench. You won't miss it because these metal letters actually emit a beautiful, vibrant glow from colorful LED lights hidden underneath them, which stands out instantly against the dark pavement. I am sitting right on the left page of the book structure. Just look for the giant glowing letters near the fountain in the center of the square. See you in a couple of minutes.